In 2018, the General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping, for the first time, has managed to seize the top position in the list of 75 most powerful people in the world, released by Forbes. Xi Jinping was appointed the President of China in 2012. Throughout his time in power, he has been front and center in China's push to consolidate its position as a superpower, while also launching a crackdown on corruption and dissent. China's president was virtually unknown to the world more than a decade ago. But over the past 50 years, Xi Jinping, the son of a powerful communist revolutionary, has used the narrative of his personal life as a farmer, living in a cave during the Cultural Revolution of the 1960s to 1970s, to elevate himself in the political arena of China. As a great political chess player, Xi Jinping has managed to cultivate his image as a strong man, so much so that his name is written into the party constitution. Xi Jinping thought means that any challenge to the current president will be seen as a threat to the rule of the Communist Party. The power he possessed proved to be great until in 2018, when the National People's Congress approved the abolition of the two-term limit for the position of president, of which at the same time allowed him to continue being in power. In this video, we will see how Xi Jinping came to power. Keep watching. China is a country in East Asia that has the most significant growth over the last 30 years, both in the economic and political sectors. The growth and changes that occur in China cannot be separated from the dynamics of the domestic policy taken by the Chinese government. The success of the Chinese government in choosing economic and political policies made this country grow as one of the Asian powers and the most influential country in the world. The greatness of China's domestic economic and political dynamics and how those dynamics work have made China one of the most powerful countries in Asia and in the entire world. The political system in China adopts a communist system of government. The Communist Party is the only party in power and has centralized power in the administration of the Chinese government. Xi Jinping, from a farmer to a president. Xi Jinping was born in June 1953 in Beijing, just 4 years after the People's Republic of China was founded by Chairman Mao Zedong. He is one of China's princes, the sons of former revolutionary leaders, who have risen to high positions in the party. His father is Shi Zhongxuan, a revolutionary fighter and former vice premier of China. Xi Jinping's father was also the individual who pioneered China's early experiments with capitalism. But his family's fortunes changed drastically when his father and his family fell out of favor during the upheaval of the Cultural Revolution and were subsequently imprisoned. When he was 15, Xi Jinping was sent to the countryside to work as an agricultural laborer in a remote and impoverished village in Shanxi province, an experience that would later become an important story in his life. Xi Jinping's life here has become a large part of his personal narrative. Until now, tourists can go to the city to see and visit a small museum built to commemorate his childhood experience collaborating with the people. Participation in the party. In 1974, Xi became an official party member after several times his membership was rejected. He began serving as a branch secretary, and the following year he continued his studies at Beijing Tsinghua University, majoring in chemical engineering. After graduating in 1979, he worked for 3 years as secretary to Ging Biao, who was then the vice premier and minister of defense of China. Xi worked hard in his political career to reach the top. He also started as the local party secretary in Hebei province, before moving on to more senior roles elsewhere, including as party chief of Shanghai, China's second city and financial hub. His rising profile in the party led to his election to the country's highest decision-making body. 5 years later, he was appointed General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party in November 2012 and officially became the President of China 4 months later. Xi Jinping's Anti-Corruption Campaign. The difference in his leadership began with the Anti-Corruption Campaign, which he announced widely. He loudly declared to bring down any official at all levels of power who participates in the problem of corruption. Through the campaign, about 300,000 Chinese officials were expelled in 2015 alone. According to Xi, he is confident with what he has done, able to raise public confidence in his party. However, there are also analysts who thought that the campaign conducted by Xi is selective, because if you look at the names of the people who were expelled, were mostly not supporters of Xi Jinping. Some observers believe the campaign is aimed at cracking down on opponents, and is part of a series of political moves by Xi, aimed at consolidating his power. In July 2017, Chongqing Party Secretary and Politburo member, Sun Zhengkai, were investigated by the Central Commission for Disciplinary Inspection. These two individuals were said to be his main competitors and potential successors. While the anti-corruption campaign was busy being implemented, a separate propaganda campaign praising and promoting Xi is also increasing. Poems praising the Chinese leader filled all Chinese television and websites. At the same time, a video of Xi's visit went viral to media organizations across China. The Chinese Dream. Xi Jinping is seen very earnestly pursuing what he calls as the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, with the vision of the Chinese dream that he highlighted. Under his rule, China has enacted economic reforms to combat slow growth, such as reducing underperforming state-owned industries and reducing pollution. Among the most famous projects under his administration is the One Belt One Road initiative. On the global stage, the country is viewed as more assertive, and this can be seen through its ongoing efforts in the South China Sea, despite international protests. Xi Jinping has also poured billions of dollars into Asian and African investments, and this is believed to be among his efforts towards becoming a world superpower. This is also accompanied by a resurgence of political nationalism fueled by the media in China, focusing entirely on highlighting the positive propaganda of Xi Jinping as China's strongman. What he did has caused some people to accuse him of trying to develop a personality cult like Mao Zedong. As a clear sign of the power he has, during the Communist Party voting in 2017, they chose to write his philosophy into the party constitution. Previously, only Mao and Deng Xiaoping, who introduced economic reforms in the 1980s, had made it an especially important basic law of the country. The most authoritarian leader. Under Xi Jinping, China has seen increasing restrictions on freedom, from increased online censorship to the arrest of dissidents and human rights lawyers. What he did has led some to describe Xi as the most authoritarian leader since Mao Zedong. Not only that, but restrictions were also intensified under Xi Jinping's rule. In the Xinjiang region, human rights groups believe that the government has detained more than 1 million Uyghur Muslims over the past few years, in what the government defines as re-education camps. There is also evidence that the Uyghurs were forced into labor. A few years ago, the news of several countries such as the United States and the United Kingdom have accused China of committing genocide and crimes against humanity through their oppression of the Uyghurs. In 2019, thousands of people in Hong Kong protested plans to allow extradition to mainland China. When the bill was put on hold, the protests evolved into pro-democracy marches with activists calling for universal suffrage. What Xi did to end the protests was to sign the National Security Law in 2020. The law gives Beijing several huge powers, including the power to reshape people's lives in Hong Kong. Many activists have been tried under the new law, including prominent activists Joshua Wong, Agnes Chow, and Ivan Lam, who were sentenced for their involvement in the protests in 2019. Under Xi's rule too, China has increased its focus on Taiwan, threatening to use military force to block any move towards its formal independence. The conflict arises when Beijing considers Taiwan as a separate territory, while Taiwan considers them as a sovereign country. In conclusion, many people believe that China is now back as an authoritarian country under the leadership of Xi Jinping. With its ambition to become a world power, the Chinese government under the leadership of Xi Jinping is now working hard to achieve the vision of the Chinese dream. As all plans have been drawn up, Xi Jinping himself has officially announced that he wants China to lead the world by 2050. Thank you for watching.